Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Vortex. I'm your host, Kathleen Pitt. Everybody has a vortex. I want to know about yours. So, today I have a very special guest. I'm so excited to talk to her because we kind of do similar things in our business, and it seems, and we'll get into it all, but it seems that she really envelopes that spiritual side just like I do. So, today we have Rebecca Pilger. Rebecca is a gifted energy healer and inspirational speaker. She is renowned for her ability to channel angels, love that, and guides communicate with souls. Deep connection to the spiritual realms, she specializes in clearing chakras and removing energetic blockages. Rebecca also offers empowering coaching courses designed to support your personal and spiritual growth. Believing that no one needs to suffer from past trauma, Rebecca underscores that we can all came to this earth abundant, and her mission is to help other people find their way back to this natural state. Amazing. That's what we like to hear, Rebecca. That is the work, right? Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's
Thank
amazing. So
you.
the first question I have is like, for anybody that ever comes on the Vortex or anybody I ever meet and they're like, I channel, I'm psychic as shit. This is my life. Like, this is what I do. Tell us about that. When did that start? How did you step into that work? And how long have you been doing it?
Oh, I love sharing this. It's I have to take you back probably around 30 years because
Great.
I
Love that.
I discovered this when I was a child. I was really, really young, and I was this weird, quirky child who was talking to their angel and
Good.
to basically my guides, my higher self, all the I was this kid who was on the slide talking to her dead great grandfather.
Yeah.
And
Were your
everybody was
parents
like,
were they involved in that or they were just like, whatever?
no, they're totally not. My mom,
Yeah.
she had her spiritual awakening when she broke up from my dad. So when at least, well, it was my dad split, and she had this really hard time, and that's when she got into spirituality.
Yeah.
But it didn't last. It was just basically like a little bandage until she healed, and then she was like, okay, I don't need it anymore, and she just stopped being spiritual.
Sure.
And at this time, I wasn't, at least I never knew. So when I got older, I realized society doesn't like kids who speak with their guides or
Yeah.
their angels. And uh, I had this conversation recently with somebody, and she said it's so cool for everybody to have angels and guides and all this in the church, but other than
Mm.
that, it's not welcome. And
Yeah.
this is
I was
how
gonna
I
say it's
experienced
like
it.
I was gonna say it's like no, they don't like kids, and actually they don't like anybody really to do it. And there's so much like
Yeah,
fear around it.
so true.
Hmm.
And this is, I realized this really young, so I suppressed it.
Okay.
I thought like, okay, I want to blend in, I want to fit in. I was a people pleaser. I
Sure.
really, it was like this urge to just be normal. So
Hmm.
I suppressed it. And 2 years ago, I had a really tough time.
Yeah.
I I ignored the universe's nudges
Yeah.
until,
Don't we all?
yes, I got this huge force. And one time it felt like I got hit by a brick, I would say.
Yeah.
So, yes, it
I
was like,
imagine probably up into that brick throwing moment, the universe also was giving you other opportunities, and you were like, no, 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 thank you. And then, of course, it does whatever it can to get your attention.
yes, it was exactly like this. It was this, I ignore this, I ignore that. And then one day I was there. My partner at that time, it was an abusive relationship, I must say. And it was a really toxic and narcissistic relationship. And it
Yeah.
took me 12 years to realize this.
Yeah. That's so tough.
So I really was there without friends, no family, no financial means because we had a business in my name. He took all the money, he
Of course
made
you
debt
did.
in my name, and he left.
Yeah.
So I was there in the middle of Greece at that time thinking, well, I don't speak the language yet. That's amazing. I don't have anything. That's awesome. I don't know how to go home with my doggy. No, awesome. At least I had my dog. So I got back into spirituality because
Yeah,
this was the only thing I had.
right.
And from there on, as soon as I realized spirituality is there for me, the universe is there for me, everything started to unfold. I'm not
Amazing.
saying it was easy,
Sure.
definitely not. It's never easy,
Yeah.
but it was
If anybody's
necessary.
listening and thinks like this work that we're doing, or like any of us that have been in this position or doing like coaching or whatever it is we just like walked into it, like I got some news for you. Like it takes work. It takes hard work. And then part of it too is like that rock bottom moment. I tell people this all the time. It's like the pain of staying the same versus the pain of facing my shadow and like integrating all this was like, well, I guess I'll do this one because you know what I mean? Because it's like the alternative is worse.
Yes, definitely. And it took me a while to realize this because I remember thinking, well, different partners, family situation was toxic, and I've moved through so many relationships. And it doesn't matter if it was a romantic relationship or a family relationship, the issue was always the same, and everything had one thing in common. And this was actually the only thing it had in common, and that was me. It was me. I needed to change. I needed to reflect on this. And this was really painful. So,
Mhm.
for everybody who's listening to this, that's the awful part when you realize it was me all along
Yeah.
and I could have changed this like years ago.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, you recognized it and it's
Yeah,
never too
yeah,
late.
yeah.
It's
It's like
this
taking
divine
that
timing.
radical responsibility for your life. Like you are the creator of your reality, no matter what is going on. Like you are responsible in some way. That is the hard
Yes.
truth, right?
And it's the beauty in it as well.
Hmm.
Because you have the power to change it anytime you want. And you can create it the way you want it. And this is even better
Yeah.
because you have the power to manifest and you make it the way you want it. Awesome. How it can't be better. It's like this golden ticket to everywhere. And this was the magic part. I really love that. And
Yeah.
from there on, I was like basically like this awoken.
Okay.
It was, yes, I think I was all the time. I just suppressed it.
Yeah.
It's it's this nasty part you don't want to look at, but it's still there. I thought it was nasty, but it wasn't. It was actually my true self.
Divine. Yeah.
And yeah, and
So when
so
did you start, if it was suppressed all that time, this
mhm.
moment of radical responsibility, you're claiming of your life, right? And you're gauging and you're moving back into spirituality. What was like your awakening? Like what was your, that's like the number one question I get. I don't know if this is something you deal with often. I always get like, how did you know you're a psychic? How did you develop your intuition? Like what happened? What was the catalyst? If you don't mind
I
sharing.
No, 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 of course. I'm an open book. Ask me anything. I love talking.
Right.
um, yes, this is the part you love talking too.
I'm a
So
yapper. Yep. Let's get after it.
I I had this experience. Actually, I went to a shaman because somebody told me you should go there. So I went there and she just talked to me and she was like, "Well, let's try to unblock some things." And I think she did, but she actually did a past life regression. So
Mhm.
from this moment on, I got all downloads, everything. I
Wow.
went through hundreds of past lives. I remember it was the worst time in my entire life. I
I
was
bet.
never
That sounds
as
like a
scared
lot.
as this. Yes, because I remember my past lives was basically just slavery,
Hmm.
witch hunt, or I got sold to a man. So I
Right.
was always a slave.
Yeah.
And here I was in my current life, I was a slave for the for the past life. Because
Yeah.
basically, even though slavery isn't, this is not the traditional slavery like we would imagine. But if you're with somebody who treats you really bad, who abuses you, who controls you, manipulates you, it's slavery.
It is, yeah. It's just like
So,
another pattern. It's like literally your soul contract to break. And then for
yeah,
anybody who doesn't and is not familiar with past lives, in my experience, and Rebecca, like feel free to touch on this, is that your subconscious will only allow what to be like, will only allow what to come through that's safe for you, right? So for whatever reason, it was safe for you to have hundreds of past lives come through. Now, the past lives that come through, that is for our highest benefit and order. It's not it's not like the small little ones. It's like the awful ones because those are the ones that we need to know to pattern interrupt. So if Rebecca's telling she got 100 past live downloads, I mean, imagine watching yourself like in pain and torture and torment. Like I know a lot of people have drowning past lives, or they're murdered,
yeah,
or they're burned at the stake, or like all of these things that. And the reason you get these downloads is to explain the patterns that are happening in your current life. So I know that had to have been like an onslaught to you, or just like even to your
yeah.
nervous system, maybe.
It was a lot, but like you said, my soul could handle it. And so I got all of these information. It was actually freeing. I needed this.
Good.
And I remember this time was really horrible because I had probably 5 days of pure scarcity. I
Yeah.
was so afraid of everything. I
Mm.
remember feeling energies. I remember looking in the mirror and just seeing a mask on me. I wasn't able to close my eyes because I had all these torturous
Yeah,
scenarios. It was horrible,
I bet.
but I needed this because
Yeah.
it freed me at the same time. And it was this moment. I had this snake. I was afraid of snakes forever, basically. And
Mm.
the root cause was actually I used to be haunted as a witch, and they drown witches with a snake in a bag. So the snake gets
Oh,
really scared and it's
I didn't
starting
know
to
that.
attack you. So really not fun, but I realized this is where the root of my scarcity was. At the same time, the snake symbolizes something which is really important and powerful. I know I'm going off track here.
Go.
um, it's about snakes are truth.
Yeah.
The snake is always used as a sign of truth. That's why Adam and Eve are really scared of the snake. The church put the snake in place, but the snake is actually the truth, truth of our existence, something which was suppressing. And I was scared of the snake because I didn't want to look into my truth, my authentic, spiritual, intuitive self.
Yeah.
And here was the snake. It wasn't
Scared of it
the
and ready
evil
for it.
thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes life is weird, and sometimes the universe gives you this nudges. It's there was my sign all along, and I was so afraid of this sign. And this ties really deeply to my my feeling of being afraid to step into my spirituality because I didn't want to be outside of the norm.
Right. Yeah, because it's about, I mean, it's like it's all the same, right? Like your subconscious will fight like hell to keep you in the safe and familiar, will keep you to be, and you have all of that, like, suppressing to be normal, to fit in, to be quiet, to not, let it be known or shown. And I was kind of chuckling when you said that, like when you're like, oh, I just wanted to be normal. And it's as we embrace this work and as we go on this journey, it's like, well, what even is normal anymore? Because like the normal life that people are living, and that's like who my ideal client is the normal suburban mom, like with the dream life, the dream house, dream car, whatever. It's like, is it normal to need like Adderall and Zoloft? Is it normal to like hate your life every day you wake up? Is it normal to like feel that burnout every single time you take a breath? No, it's not normal. Like this to me is more normal. This transformation, this channeling, this access to the records, like that normalcy, that needs to be normalized.
If hating your life is normal, I really don't want to be
No
normal.
thanks. No thanks.
Yes,
Already did that. Got the t-shirt. No.
yes, yes. check on the bucket list. We did this,
Ding, ding,
done this,
ding.
over it.
I will never go back. No, thank you.
Yes.
So after that, like past life experience, you have all this that you're embodying the snake, like you're recognizing this transformation and truth that's like facing you in like you're facing it head on. What next? What happens next?
I realized there's something with me, somebody with me. I got so freaked out because it was this immense energy. And I was always like, let me go alone, leave. It got to this point where I started to just clean out the entire house with like, I don't know, I was like, please just go, leave.
Yeah,
I don't want
interesting.
this. I was so scared
Hmm.
until I realized this is my ego, this is my comfort zone, my subconscious. It's not really something I have to be afraid of because honestly, it wouldn't be here and try to connect with me if it was something evil. So
Right,
I just faced head on my fear, and I was like, okay, let's go down the rabbit hole of spirituality and
right.
just ask. And from this moment, I realized, whoa, this is my great grandfather. I don't have to be scared of him. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah. It's
big
getting your
man.
attention.
Yes, and he has a huge energy because he's really strong, and so this is why I was scared of him. But he was all loving, and once I got down this rabbit hole and acknowledged and actually let this spirituality come through, I was able to connect to my angel and to my guide, my soul, other people's souls, and
Mhm.
angels. And it's basically for everybody who doesn't know how this is in general, and for everybody it's different. For me, it's like I'm talking to everything, every spirit, like you and I talk right now.
Right.
I ask them something and they answer in full sentences. It's not
Mhm.
like I get signs or, well, I do get signs and feathers and stuff like this, but I also just talk to them in full sentences and I get this, I get feelings, I see them, I hear them, I can, yes, I can feel them. And
Yeah,
it's really like I know where they are. I
right.
know where my angel stand, from which side he's coming, or I feel the love he gives me. And he tells me sometimes he wants to connect with an angel he really loves. So I connect them.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, that part of it is so amazing. And I talk about this often, obviously I work in the quantum mostly. And so
Mhm.
I the terms quantum, psychic, God, universe, source, like I really for me they're interchangeable. And so like that I think is the whole message that is being given to me to deliver to the world is that it's actually just all energy. And if you can move your ego away for just a moment and like just feel it and see it and move it through your body, like you'll be amazed at what comes through. Now, when people
Mhm.
ask me like, "Oh, well, what do you see or how do you feel or what do you like, what are you hearing?" I really struggle with the words, and I'm curious, like how you would say. I think you probably just said, like, no, I actually see, feel, and hear. But for me, it's like in your 3D, you have touch, smell, hear, taste. I don't remember the other one, whatever your senses. So you
Yes.
have your five senses. And so
Yes.
like in the 3D world, like those five senses, it makes sense. Like I'm touching this pen, I'm feeling this, right? But in the 5D, when I get that energy, when I get that download, when I'm channeling it through, I do see, I do hear, but it's like processed differently.
Yeah.
It's like behind a screen in my mind, but it is clear. Like it's not like it's fuzzy. It's just being processed with a different place or at a different spot in my brain. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yes, totally. I feel
Yeah.
this the same way. And when I channel, it's so quick that it doesn't even go through my mind. I
Yeah.
can't even process this so
Yes.
quickly.
Yes. And that is something I always, people always be like, oh, you did a reading for me and you said this. Do you remember? And I'm like, no. I mean, like sometimes I'll remember like little things. But that is a good point because I actually in my 3D world have a near photographic memory. Like I can read here, see something, and I'll be able to regurgitate it, no problem.
Wow.
But when I do a psychic reading or when I do an intuitive or channel, I mean, like pieces maybe if you're like somebody that's been following me for a while and I'm on a live and I'm like, oh, good, they're here, boom. Like I might remember a little bit of it, but I really do not remember most of it. Or like at least it's not like imprinted on my brain like it normally would be.
Yes, because it's going through you. You're just the
Love
vessel
that.
in this moment. Yes, I do too. Sometimes I have this when I do something, I write something down, or who knows, I I feel like, wow, did I read this? This
Yeah.
did I write this? Wow, that's amazing.
I am
Good.
so I am really killing it. Yeah, or like all my programs are channeled, like all my one-on-ones are channeled. And so it's like really stepping into that space. And something I coach my clients through, I don't know if you, is that when people say like, well, I just can't handle it, I just can't hold it all, I just whatever, it's like, okay, well, your business has its own energy and you
Mhm.
have your own energy. So if that helps you like separate the two and be able to compartmentalize it and show up for your business even when your personal life is like taking a hit, because we are human, we're
Yeah.
spiritual beings having a human experience. I am not walking around like meditating for 5 hours a day. I have two toddlers, I have a husband who has a job, I have a dog, like I have things that happen in my life that requires my 3D attention. So if you can like separate the two and say like actually I'm channeling my business, I am the vessel and conduit for my business, for my clients, for whatever needs to come through, and then I can really like separate it and create space for both, I think is so beautiful.
Yes. And I don't feel like you have to be, when you're spiritual, you don't have to be like all in your head and all in this higher realms, and you're not living a human life because this is not your purpose. Your purpose is
100%.
to be a soul in a human experience. Your soul craves having a dog, a husband, two
Yeah.
kids, a life, a work, and everything, because this is only the reason why it's here. This is, you don't have to have this, oh, I'm meditating and I'm doing this and I'm not, I'm doing a retreat and I don't talk for 30 days. No,
Yeah.
this if this doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to.
You have
I'm the
to.
same way. I feel like I'm not sitting there around and meditating for hours because I frankly don't have the time or the patience for this.
No way.
So I like to integrate this. I feel like I'm doing it all the time because if I want to talk to my angel right now, I do it just, and this
Yeah.
is fine. So I just do everything I can to fuel my energy, to keep my energy uplifted and high, because then I'm able to touch on all the frequencies.
Right. And then in terms of chakra, because I know you work with the chakra system and I do too as well. It's like I hear and see a lot of people who get divine downloads through their crown and their third eye. They're able to see images. And sometimes if their throat's unblocked, they're able to move it through. But unless you have that
Mhm.
root chakra embodiment, unless your roots are tethered to this physical world, then you will be unable to bring that abundance, to bring that idea into the physical form, to be able to bring it all in. So it requires like full energetic alignment. But the point is that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. If you are connected to the mind, beautiful. But we also need to connect you to this 3D world, to this physical plane, because humans will not be able to benefit from what you have to offer unless you remain rooted in this space. A lot of people, I think, like
Sure.
use it almost as an escape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. It's
keeping
like
it
people
rooted.
always talking about, oh, I'm going on vacation. No, you're just so into going on vacation because you want to escape your life.
Right.
And this is the same way. It's like a little day escape. While when you love your life, you don't have to escape it, you can integrate everything.
Yeah. My husband and I were just talking about that last night because we are going on vacation in 2 weeks. And
Mhm.
this is like a totally different vibe. Like normally, when we had been on vacation in the past, it was for that, right? Like, oh, maybe this week in the Bahamas will fix it all. Guess
Yeah.
what? Like it doesn't. Like you're still going to come back to the same life and the same problems and the same burnout cycle, unless you integrate it. And this time, it's like 2 weeks. Okay, great. This is going to be good. It'll be warmer weather. The kids are going to have a good time. You know, we're going to have a beautiful like space and movement together. It's with our entire family for Christmas. Like, wow, how special. But it's more of
Yes.
like how special than less of like, oh my God, I just need to get away. Just please get me on a boat or
Yeah.
get me on an island. It's just more of like how beautiful and special that we get to live this abundant life and experience all that the world has to offer. Because that's what we're
Yes.
here for.
That's pure alignment.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And of
Yes.
course, like we want, like that's why we're in this work. That's why we're doing what we're doing, is that once you and once I found that alignment, found that place of just complete congruency with our soul self, what our soul mission and purpose was, it's like, okay, well, now I just need to awaken so many other people to the possibility and the truth of what like their life can look like. Like we're done being normal. We're done.
Hmm.
It's time for like the new way of being because it's just so I'm like, I got chills when I'm saying this, and my body is like expanding as I'm saying it. It's just so encompassing. Like there's not even a word I can use right now to describe the wholeness of what alignment is for someone.
Yes, it's true. And I think for everybody it's different. It's like we
100%.
experience the world different, we experience spirituality different. And all this, everybody has their own set of gifts, and
Yeah,
everybody needs to tap into their own sets of gifts.
I love
And
that.
this is the wonderful part because usually it starts with a little bit. You build like a foundation. A lot of people start with Reiki or something, and it's the foundation, and then they build upon of that. And until they find what truly resonates with them, or they build like a little toolbox and they put all their spiritual gifts in there until they have this set of tools they can use whenever they need. And there, this is actually a beautiful journey, and we can all experience it in a different way because everybody starts at a different way, and that's amazing. For you, it was you wanted to help others build their businesses from a place of power, and it's the possibility to reach everything and to awaken so many people because this is
Yeah.
important. And for me, it was like I want to help people through the guidance of angels because I happen to be so lucky to have them on my side. And here's the thing, actually, because people are always like, oh, I want to have this gift or I want to have
Yeah.
this gift. No, you're not going to pick your gift, you get
Mm.
it.
Yeah, I know.
And
And two, like you have your specialty, like you and I, if we put our Venn diagram of like our psychic gifts and ability, there will be some crossover, but like
Mhm.
your gift is channeling angels. I can channel angels. I've channeled them before, but it's not what I'm doing every single day. My gift is somebody tells me their idea. It's like spirit will like literally, it's like a an accordion. It goes like boom, 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 boom. So I can show you how big that vision actually is supposed to be and why that seed was planted in your mind as the vision. It's like, that's beautiful. Great. You're going to kill it. But then guess what? It's going to be a book. It's going to be this. It's going to be da, 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 and then you're going to do that. And they're like, wow, I that does resonate. So like we all have some crossover, but I think
Yeah.
too, like recognizing your zone of genius and understanding like, yes, I have these tools in my toolbox. I'm going to use them in my clients the way it is. It's like my zone of genius is my soul mission. And so I'm going to just really expand on that. And I'm talking a lot, sorry, but I do have a question.
Okay.
Something I ran into was like, oh my God, I'm so psychic. Like I'm so psychic. I could do a chakra clearing, I could remote view, I could do a medium reading, I channel. I'm so psychic. Why am I had to struggle with that in the beginning of my business to be like, that's awesome and beautiful, but I've been a psychic for so many lifetimes. And my mission is not to offer one-on-one psychic readings with people. And I struggled with that because I was like, well, why wouldn't I share that gift with the world? Why wouldn't I be available? But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm sticking to my zone of genius. Did you
Yeah.
have any of that before? Like when you're like, wow, I'm really like, I can feel this vortex around me and the amount of things I'm channeling. And then how did you like niche that down to what you're currently offering?
Oh, that's a great question. I've never got asked this. Honestly,
Good.
this for me it was I'm multi interested in everything,
Hmm.
multi talented in a million things. I was probably the girl who did, before I do what I do now, a million jobs.
Yeah.
And I mean, really a million jobs. So for me, it was like, oh, how I can do everything. I can talk to the deceased ones. I can talk to guides. I can talk to the angels. I can do tarot reading. I can do higher self channeling. I can do this and that. And yes, I can. But what's my purpose? And here's the thing, your higher self or the universe source, however you want to call it, they download you informations. And it's not like, I always refer to it like a little basket, like a gift basket.
Mm-hmm.
You get it and it's all in there, and you get the snacks in there and the fruit and the chocolate and whatever, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all nice wrapped up with a tie. This is not how the universe presents it to you.
No
You
way.
get, here's the snack and here's chocolate and here are some grapes, and then you have to put it together, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to see which fits and what doesn't. And
Mm-hmm.
this is, for me, it was, I tapped into everything, and I realized this is fun, but it's not aligned, and this is
Right.
fun, but it's not aligned. And you don't have to pick one thing, because I believe you can have more things. You don't have to say, like, now I'm only channeling, because you can integrate this in your business and do something else with this.
Right.
For me, I have a couple of things I do. I do the channeling, the angel channeling, because I feel like the angels come to me and tell me sometimes, give this person, please, this information, because they need to know this. They need to work on this.
Yeah.
And so I do this. Or sometimes somebody says, I need energy healing because I can see the things which are stuck in the chakra. I can see it, I can pull it out, I can do
Mm-hmm.
cord cutting. Of course, I can do this. But actually, my mission is to communicate, inspire people to move forward, to do whatever they think is right for them, to step into their fears and see them head on in the face, to enlighten people, to
Yeah.
bring them into spirituality. And this took me a while. And I remember I got always this vision to be on stage in front of thousands of people. And I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
thinking, like, yes, it's not yet there, but I can tell this is my higher self telling me, this is your purpose. Go there, do this. And here's the fun thing, because I said
Wait, I have to
previously,
interrupt you. They're telling me to interrupt you. The vision actually is happening
mhm,
now in the quantum. So it's not about getting there, it's closing the gap between there and there by embodying the frequency. I'm sorry, I had
I
to say
need
it.
to jump. No, no, you're right. I need to jump. I'm my ego, or my personal lack of self-worth right
Mhm.
now is hindering me there.
Yep.
I can feel it though. I can feel the energy. I can feel the jump happening. It's just not there yet. And I get nervous and anxious, because I'm like, it needs to happen now. It needs to happen now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it's getting there. I can feel it. My
Hey, the
purpose, right?
awareness is like the first step, right? Like so many
Yes.
people like see that and they're like, no thanks. And then they just go back to what they were doing. But if you're aware of like where that pattern is, then you can, whenever you're ready, pattern interrupt.
Yeah, and I can feel it, and you're right. It's a choice. My soul has this choice. I have this choice, but
100%.
I feel stuck right now because I'm not there yet. And
Yeah.
I'm working on this. It's like the little tweaking. When you do a watch, you need to do little tweaks so
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
fits
So it
all
all
together and
fits
all the wheels
together.
are perfectly. And
Yeah,
it's not
and that's
quite
so
yet.
beautiful too. Like for anyone listening, like your coach, your person, your mentor, your intuitive guide, we are human. Like we have
Mhm.
shadow self that we're constantly integrating, constantly bringing into light, constantly working with our guides and angels to live our highest embodiment, to close the gap between where we are and the timeline that we see. And it like having a mentor isn't like finding a perfect human. Finding a coach isn't like finding a perfect, most ascended person. It's about finding that reflection because I truly believe like we have soul clients that are just mirrors of us. Finding that reflection of yourself in someone that's 2 or 3 steps ahead of you and understanding like, okay, I can really learn from them. And not only do you learn from us, but we learn from you. Like every client I have shows me my shadow aspect of self every single time. I'm like, wow, what am I not addressing? Or what am I not speaking about? Or where am I not showing up authentically? And it's just such a beautiful, synergistic relationship for the collective awakening.
Mhm. It's so true.
Yeah.
And honestly, you don't want to have a coach who's a perfect human because, yes, they have nothing to give.
And
You
it does
need to
that,
go
well, they
down
don't
like
exist,
messy.
first of all, right? Like
Yes.
that's like not even real. And if you do feel like if there is someone that's claiming that, like, yikes. But that's, if that's you, that's a soul lesson you're going to go through, and that's great. And we love all the lessons the universe gives us.
Yes, because it's a way to grow.
Yeah.
And this is life is supposed to be a roller coaster. Of course, you don't want to have all the lows, but you don't want to have all the highs because you need both. This balance is the perfect way to go. If you have only highs, you can't appreciate, or if you only have the lows, you can't appreciate the highs. I always
100%.
say if Superman wouldn't have the Joker, or it's not, no, Batman, the Joker, if Batman didn't have the Joker, Batman would be just a rich guy in a cape with
Yeah.
tights on.
And a costume.
It's ridiculous. So nobody really wants that. But with Joker, all of a sudden he's a hero.
Yeah.
So you need your shadow sides to be your hero.
Yeah. And all those lows, they're your superpower. Like turning your pain into power, that's like I have a whole week in my program devoted to that. It's like as frustrating as it is, when you claim radical responsibility for the creation of your life and what's going on around you, like every horrible bad thing that you went through has taught you something on some level.
Yes.
And you created that in some way, or you've chosen to go through that before you were ever born, which is very difficult to say to someone who has experienced like very deep, deep trauma, because I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. I'm not saying that that doesn't impact you as a human, but radical responsibility and choosing to integrate and see the low and the high and putting your pain into power is the secret sauce. That is the awakening and embodiment of that shadow self.
So true. I used to
Beautiful.
say, why me? Why do I have to endure this?
Me too.
While I should have asked, what should I learn out of this? Where's the gift hidden?
Yeah.
Because honestly, your soul, before it comes to this earth, it decides which life it wants. And this life is a chosen one. So it's you already knew, your soul already knew that it could handle everything. And sometimes you the tougher your life is, the lessons are there. And sometimes your soul just picks a life to check on everything to realize, oh, I learned this. Yes, from a past life, this I learned and this I learned. It's basically your soul's bucket list all in
Mhm.
one life packed, and it makes sure to that it actually learned its lessons. And that's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
And I know you said earlier, like you went through 100 past lives, so it's no surprise that you are an old soul. I also resonate with that old soul thing where like I've embodied so much in my past life, and I've like you and I both, it's like stepping into that purpose, stepping into that power, stepping into that mission. Everything in our past lives has led us to this moment. And I've been told by like one of my friends, she's such a gifted healer. I'm just like trying to get her. She's like local only. I'm trying to get her like online and like on my podcast and stuff. She's a local energetic healer. She said she was doing a reading for me one time and she like was like, your guides are saying like this time we got it right. Like, you know what I mean? Like all the other times either something happened or I didn't embody the lesson because you do have a choice, right? This is where free will comes in. Is like you can decide to not be that person that speaks on stages. You can decide to not awaken or listen to your intuition when you feel that great grandfather presence. But if you do, and when you do decide to move forward as that version of you, you get to that final, like that final stage, that final life, that final reincarnation.
I feel like when I got this download from my angel, he was like, "You're chosen. This is your chosen life."
Hmm.
So, with a chosen life, or the chosen one, you're kind of set into this. You have no free will because this is what's supposed to happen. This is
Right.
not often. This is not, it's, I feel like this is my last life on earth
Ooh.
because my soul is really old and I got this channeled. I know this. It hit me
Hmm.
quite hard because I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to be the last life on earth.
Yeah.
But apparently I have no saying in there. So
Yeah. I see your soul when you're saying that. They are kind of mad about it. I wonder what that's like. I don't know. I wonder what that's like showing or teaching you in some way. They are kind of like they're very ancient. And so, I mean, you know this, right? And so it's like a very it's like almost disgruntled. Like part of your soul, if it's okay, if you don't mind
yeah,
if I channel this through,
no.
it's saying like, well, I just won't do it then. And then you'll have to bring me back, you know? And that I think is good for you to have. That information is good for you to have. So that will help you with the fear of moving forward. Because it's
Yeah.
almost like that's where the resistance is that your soul's like, well, I just won't do it. And you have to bring me back.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
My soul,
Feisty.
it is. It always has been.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. I do have a star seed, which is really I have a couple of star seeds, but this is really permanent. It's really big. It's from a Venusian part,
Hmm.
and she really wants to go home. She's
Mm.
really desperate to go home.
Yeah.
And so there's this struggle, and I think I'm hindering it.
Well,
So this life is the life, which apparently is my last one, and this is the life I have to fulfill my purpose.
yeah.
It's not a life I can choose where I want to go, and if I really want to fulfill my purpose, it's a must.
Yeah.
And for years, it didn't feel like it. And I would say, since it's just basically a year, since a year, for a year, I'm actually stepped into this. I
Mm.
stepped into my purpose. So right now, I'm on my way, and it took my life quite a long time to figure this out. It
Yeah.
took my soul a lot of patience to wait
Yeah.
because, well, I'm not 20 anymore, so
Yeah, me
time
neither.
is flying.
But do you feel like so in 2 years though, like you said, yeah, it took you a long time to figure it out. Well, I'm 33. I had my awakening like 11 months ago. And so boom, boom, boom. Like I started my business 11 months ago. Boom, here I am. Right. So sometimes I feel like spirit will accelerate the path for you because it's meant for you. So even though you're like, oh, it took me a long time, like you're saying that this journey started for you 2 years ago, mostly was when that awakening and that embodiment of spirit occurred. In 2 years, like you've made quite an evolution, right? Like, and you've fine-tuned your gifts and you have a list of clients, like you have programs that are working and churning and moving people through the process. So, recognize that too. You're killing it. Like, even if it took you a long time to wake up, like spirit will make it happen.
Honestly, and this is, I probably, well, 2 years ago, I did my journey, I started my journey with self-love and self-improvement and all
Yeah.
this. I awoke 11 months ago, like you.
Oh, well, there we go. Another wave coming right
Yes,
through, right? I
it's
find
so
that often.
connected.
There's like it's always like sync either obviously like, soul clients like mirroring back to each other. It was meant to happen. And then I also find like waves of awakening. Like people will be like, oh, in 2017, like 100 people awoken or whatever, however they found each other on the internet. And like the best part about where we live and how we live in this timeline, in this lifetime, is that number one, I live in a country where I'm allowed to speak. I'm a woman and I'm allowed to speak. Beautiful. I'm not going to be condemned for what I'm saying. I've had to work through the witch wound on that. But number two, my content will reach a much larger audience, and it's not just confined to the town I'm in or the stages I speak on. It is, very widespread. And how beautiful is that? And how amazing this tool that we get to use and connect with each other from Germany to here.
Yes, it's true. I really love this. And I feel like even though right now is maybe a tough time to live, we are still better off than all the years before.
Mhm.
And we have this wonderful technology part,
Yeah,
which is expanding. And I mean, we are all connected either way. We
isn't that
all
weird?
collective. And so on one part, we are actually all connected. And
Yeah,
but not everybody. And so
yeah.
the people who aren't right now, you're able to reach them, and this is so valuable for them. So maybe you are the guiding force for them to awake.
Maybe we'll see how far it gets. I'm always
Definitely.
just, what I do? I wake up and I say, okay, what do I need to do today? And then I do that. And then I let spirit take over from there because it hasn't steered me wrong yet. And that's how it's gonna go. So, wow, that hour went by so quickly. I want to ask a couple questions just related to your business
Yes.
so people can figure out like how to get a hold of you if this resonates with them, any part of your story. First question is what are your programs right now? Not like the specifics, but more like who's your ideal client? What are you teaching? What are you showing? How are you using all these beautiful modalities that you've mastered in your programs? Tell us about them.
Okay, I do have a self-love program and a boundary program. This is for people who are lacking self-love because I feel like to be spiritual, you need a baseline. And the baseline is to love yourself so you feel more valuable or more worthy enough to receive the gifts.
So
Otherwise,
true.
you won't accept them. So
Mhm.
there's the start, self-love. I built a package, a safe container. It's 11 steps. It's easy. Everybody can do it because I could do it, so everybody can do it. And this is basically their foundation. And the boundary course is 5 steps boundaries. I always say it's basically your self love is your house. Now you need a fence, so not everybody's walking into your house. This
Mm.
is the boundary. And then I do have a energy healing course. It's one-on-one right now because I feel like I need to pick up everybody where they at. It's not just
Sure.
everybody has their own story. And so I usually ask their soul, what's the backstory? What's happening? What do you need me to do? I can tap into the Akashic records through the soul. So I
Mhm.
know what you're working with. And then I can heal them. Sometimes people just come for channeling because
Yeah.
have they want to know what their purpose, they want to know what their guides tell them, their angels tell them. They need this support and this trust. So I do have those. These are one-on-ones, and usually people can just email me at contact@rebeccapilger.com.
Beautiful.
And that's basically it right now. I do have a podcast, Soul Desire, which is all about spirituality. So I pick up people usually there so they can just get a taste of it, of spirituality. But
Gorgeous.
in general, it's we go really deep. So I try to pick up everybody where they at. My thought always is with everything I do, my offers or the things I do are finding their clients or
Yeah.
the people who are supposed to get those. And of course, I have a lot of freebies for people to just maybe get into it, get a
Yeah.
feel of it, just to start. Because I feel like the first step is the hardest. It's
Oh
always
my
like
God.
this first step to feel the waters. There, it's it's for them to feel the waters, to just get a feeling of this. Is this something for me? Does this resonate? Do I want this? Or do I need a little bit more time? Yes.
Yeah. It's really just like challenging. Like it's so difficult for people to take that first step because it challenges like everything you've ever known your whole life. And like, I say this often in my content, and it's like the most shared every time I share this message, it's the most shared, like anything. It's like people want to see the path before they take the first step. And unfortunately, that's not how this works. You have to take the first step, and then the path will appear as you keep walking. And every
Mm.
every time it gets shared, it goes by every time it goes viral because so many people fear taking
Yeah,
that first step. But yeah, that's beautiful. I will obviously make sure everything's tagged, linked, shared,
thank you.
and all your like social media stuff that people can find you and get into your vortex and all that you offer. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being on the
Thank
vortex. I
you. Thank
love
you so much for having me.
having people in mind and hearing about other people's vortex because we all have a vortex. It's just beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank you so much. It was such a blast. The
Yeah.
time was flying, like
I know.
always.
I'm like, wow, that was really quick. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. I'll have everything tagged for Rebecca, and you can figure out the best way to reach her, contact her, get into her vortex. You guys have a lovely day.